that blew up. I didn't know so many people cared about Lucas's Zair. And in the video, I did promise a part 2. So let's dive a little deeper into Rope Snake. Specifically, one of Rope Snake's more underrated uses, shield pressure. But I think in order to fully understand what makes it such a good move on shield, I need to properly explain one of the most complicated and misunderstood parts of Smash, shield safety. And when I say complicated, I mean it. There are so many nuances to how shields work in Ultimate that just aren't seen in most fighting games. And even after years of playing Ultimate, I didn't really understand the meaning of certain buzzwords like frame data or plus and minus. And it was only after getting into quote-unquote real fighting games that it actually started to make sense to me. So let me bring you to one of these real fighting games to learn the basics. Let's start with frame advantage. Every move in a fighting game is given a number, known as its frame advantage on block. What this number represents is, if I use this move and it's blocked by the opponent, which one of us will be able to act faster? The simplest number to understand is 0. This is Chun-Li. You might recognize her as that girl from Fortnite. Her back medium punch is 0 on block. That means that if this move is blocked, both her and her opponent will be able to act on the same frame. Makes sense, right? What about if a move is plus on block? Well, let's look at Urien. You might know him from Epic Win. He has a few moves that are plus on block, meaning that when said moves get blocked, he actually recovers faster than his opponent. This is super powerful, but it's not really important to this discussion. And that's because, besides projectiles, there just aren't any plus on block moves in Ultimate. What's really important are moves that are minus on block. Take for example, Urien's Sweep. This move is minus 14. What that means is that if this sweep gets blocked, the defender is able to act 14 frames before Urien can. And frames are just the unit of time in fighting games. Street Fighter and Smash Ultimate both run at 60 FPS, which stands for frames per second. So 1 frame is 1/60th of a second, and 14 frames is just under a quarter second. And a quarter second is a lot of time in a fighting game, so if your sweep gets blocked, get ready to get punished. In fact, if you're hit during one of these 14 frames of recovery, that is what's known as a true punish. There was literally nothing you could have done after your move got blocked to prevent that punish. So this type of move is definitely not safe on shield. And this was kind of the end of my understanding of shield safety. If I could get a true punish, then it was unsafe on shield. Otherwise, it was safe. But there's actually a lot more nuance here. This is Juri. You might know her from the Worst Person You Know's Discord profile. And this is her EX Fuha. It's -2 on block. That's the same frame advantage as Lucas's Zair, which is considered safe on shield. And just like in Smash Ultimate, the fastest reversal option in Street Fighter is frame 3. And again, EX Fuha is -2. So if Juri uses this move on block, it will literally never get true punished. So why am I talking about it? Well, while it is true that 2 frames is not enough time to be true punished, if you are not blocking on your first actionable frame, you will get hit by your opponent's 3-frame attack. Okay, so what? I'll just block and I won't get hit. Well, EX Fuha always leaves Juri point blank with her opponent. And just like in Smash, grabs in Street Fighter don't care if you're blocking. The best you can do is avoid the throw with a jump, backdash, or throw tech. But all of these options lose to the 3-frame jab. If we look at a Venn diagram, there is no single option in this scenario that beats both the attack and the throw, besides one secret option that we'll get to later. As well, even if you do guess right, Juri doesn't get much out of it. Blocking a jab or teching a throw doesn't do any damage or improve Juri's positioning. So even though this move is unpunishable, by using it, Juri has put herself in a terrible position, where at best she leaves with nothing, and at worst she gets hit. So if frame data isn't enough, what really makes a move safe? It's spacing. Now, spacing is another one of these buzzwords told to newer Smash players, but what does it really mean? Well, let's look at Balrog. You might know him from the Mines of Moria, and this is his dash straight. It is -4 on block, meaning that the move is true punishable by 3 or 4 frame moves. However, the majority of 3 and 4 frame moves are very stubby. In fact, a huge factor in whether or not your character wins the Balrog matchup is if you have a long range 4 frame move. But even the best 4 frames in the game can still be outspaced, and whiffing in this range can lead to some huge damage. And that's what's so powerful about this move. Balrog loves living in this mid-range area, and dash straight forces your opponent to pick an option, because if you do nothing, the situation just loops. If you try and jump away, Balrog has great tools to chase you down. And if you try and swing back, not many characters have big enough moves to even reach him from that far away. And if they do, it's probably something like a sweep, which we already know is not safe on shield. This is called a spacing trap, and it's seen a lot in Smash. Watch any sword character play, and a huge part of their game plan is using one of these safe, spaced aerials, reacting to the opponent's decision, and either punishing outright, or storing the information, and then using it later. But what really makes dash straight so good is that it physically brings Balrog to this range. It is so powerful to be able to near instantly go from a safe distance away into the danger zone. Now just imagine this move, but it's a snake, and you literally get rope snake. It is a loopable pressure tool on a character that thrives in the mid-range and has the perfect frame advantage and hitbox. But most importantly, whenever you want, you can just fling yourself into the spacing trap. Then, if they stay in shield, just do it again. Most fighters can only take 2 or 3 before getting shield poked anyway. If they try and fail to challenge you, whiff punish. And if they pick a defensive option, take note. Most players have a bad habit of only using 1 or 2 defensive options, so once you have the download, punish. And Lucas has some really good punishes. And this is why I call it underrated, because while everyone might be looking at the crazy combos, I know it was actually the knowledge of frame advantage combined with the use of an unpunishable space Zair that made it all possible. But what if you screw up? You just misspace the aerial and end up point blank. You can go from looking like Balrog's dash straight to Juri's EX Fuha real fast. Point blank, -2 on block, in range of both attacks and grabs. Well, remember that Venn diagram I was talking about and its secret option? Well, it's secret for a reason. Only used by the scrubbiest of scrubs and at the highest of levels. The invincible reversal. And just like Juri, Lucas has one too. His up smash. But they are not to be used lightly. You should only really be using it once you have a really good read on your opponent's habits. But if your opponent is not respecting your Zair pressure and consistently using out of shield options like fast aerials or especially shield grabbing, every once in a while, just give them a little. And that is how Lucas beats shields in Smash Ultimate. Thank you so much for watching. Also, thank you to Brian F and AA for making the great Street Fighter content that got me into the game in the first place. I'll leave links to them in the description. And if you were confused why Lucas could fly around with Zair, check out this video where I explain the glitch that makes it possible.